I don't think humans were designed to be constrained like that.
True.
Not just English people. I think we are designed to be free, to have freedom, to have free will and to go about our lives with the minimum of interference from the government. Governments around the world just keep getting bigger and bigger and want to take more and more of your money. And at some point, surely most people will go, hang on a minute, enough's enough now.
We're just rolling. Yeah, no, normally he's here. He's away with his mum, and he was gutted not to meet you because I was telling about old football when the Premier League started, and I was saying to him, there's a video I've got to show you of this player. He played for Southampton, his collection of goals. You must know of these videos where it's just everyone's fucking insane. And so he's really gutted not to be here, not to meet you.
Oh, bless him. I'll tell him I said hello.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Matt. So we had a couple of back and forths on Twitter.
We did. You're not the only one I've had a back and forth with on Twitter, though, mate. And I don't hold grudges.
Oh, well, I'm glad. Well,
and I hope you don't.
No, I don't hold grudges with anyone. But that was, I think that was a period of time where there's like the world was one way.
Yeah.
And I went through it and came out of it the other side and thought, holy shit, the world is not that way at all.
Yep.
And
I've been there. I understand.
Yeah. And now we're in this weird world where everything appears to be broken,
yes,
fucked. Yet there's things you can say, things you can't say. Well, you can say it, but it just costs you.
You just won't get any traction anywhere.
Or get a job or whatever. Yeah. So, but you've been through a lot with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been through it quite a bit over the last few years. It's been an interesting 5 years to live through, to say the least. But, I've come out a better and stronger person for it.
Well, were you always like this in the football days? Were you suspicious of things, or was this like a post-football thing?
Yeah, I wasn't overly involved in terms of looking at what was going on politically and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There were a few things that happened that kind of made me go, not sure I trust that. But I didn't really have the time to look into things, if I'm honest. Yeah. And kind of life was so busy back then. I was still playing football, and that was kind of when you're a professional footballer, it's kind of almost all consuming. So all you're thinking about is your next training session, your next football match. Are we going to get relegated or not? That kind of stuff. So you're kind of in this insulated world, and I didn't really take a lot of notice of what was going on outside of it, if I'm honest. So, the last few years came as a bit of a shock to me when I started looking into things a bit deeper.
Was there a trigger?
Was there a trigger?
Was there a moment?
Yeah. I think it was the moment where the government were considering locking you in your own homes, and basically taking away a hell of a lot of liberties that they had no right to do. I've always kind of been one of those kids that would question authority if I didn't think it was right. I've never been one just to sit there and take it and just go, oh no, so somebody in authority is saying it, so it must be right. If I don't feel like it's right, I'll stand up for myself and say something. And I've always kind of been like that. And, that kind of multiplied a little bit in 2020.
Well, I've been experiencing that with the FA. I mentioned I've got a team and I keep getting in trouble
because you're saying the wrong things,
doing
the wrong things.
Yeah, and I just find them a bit annoying.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if
governing bodies tend to be like that a little bit.
But the thing is about what I find with football is all the teams are acting the same. And I went back when we started the club. I was looking at the history of football and football teams. They always started from somewhere and seemed to represent something. And even though I disagree with him on nearly everything he says, I quite like what Dale Vince did with Forest Green. And they created a club around an idea. So we did. So we started challenging. One of them is in our club program. The chairman's notes.
Yep.
My pictures, I'm there with an AR-15 because I was on holiday in America. It's a funny picture. I did it to provoke people, but there was a complaint, and the FA said I can't use that as a photo in the program.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, they said it's It sets a wrong impression for children. It brings the game into disrepute. And I got a 3-match ban. Yeah.
Yeah, the world's see. I think that just kind of sums up the way the world has gone in terms of governing bodies who want massive overreach into parts of your lives that they shouldn't have nothing to do with.
Yeah, but the world of football doesn't push against this. It feels like there's too much risk.
Yeah, too many people, too invested. Too many people don't want to rock the boat because they're happy with their salaries and don't want to jeopardise the life that they've got to stand up for principles, even if they think it's wrong. And I wasn't prepared to do that.
Well, my experience, like I say, it came a few months after yours. I put up with a 2-week lockdown. I thought it sounded sensible. Spoke to a doctor. The doctor said they had a massive influx of people, sounded sensible. I got vaccinated myself, which I regret massively now. But I refused it for my daughter. But as it went on, that's when I started to look a bit deeper. I had a back and forth with you. And then I was like, shit, I got this whole thing wrong.
But fair play, you apologised and
Yeah,
it's accepted and we've moved on and we're grown men and we can have differences of opinion and that's how the world should be. But this is one of the things that really annoyed me in 2020 is you weren't allowed to have a difference of opinion. You couldn't, there was no counter narrative to what was going on. And anybody who went against what the government and the media were saying were cancelled, silenced. They had their social media accounts shut down, not allowed to have an opinion on television anymore. And that for me was, way past the point of being acceptable as a human right.
Do you feel like you were cancelled?
Oh, yeah.
Can you talk about it? Because it says you stepped down.
I didn't step down from Sky. I was sacked from Sky.
But from
I stepped down from my role as ambassador at Southampton Football Club. And I did that because of I was told that they were getting a load of emails and phone calls, giving them a load of stick because, I shouldn't be involved with the football club because of my views and, I didn't deserve to be ambassador at the football club. And so I just thought the easiest thing to do is to stop the football club from getting all these stupid emails and phone calls. I'll just step down from my role as ambassador and then, takes all the problem away, solves it all. And it wasn't a massive deal to me. I still go to the football game. I still go and watch the games. The club still give me tickets. So nothing really changed too much. It just meant the occasional job that I did for them, I wasn't doing anymore for a period of time. But, that's since changed, and things are slowly returning to some kind of normality in that world. But yeah, that was an interesting period to go through. I was getting cancelled from after dinner speaking jobs because people complained that even though my after dinner speaking was all about my football career, and I didn't venture into any of the other stuff, they still felt like it was acceptable for them to complain to the people that were employing me to entertain their crowds, to get me cancelled from jobs. So I just don't get that kind of attitude from people where they want to stop somebody from feeding their own family. If that's because that's what it boils down to at the end of the day. We all deserve to be free to be able to make a living. And so, yeah, getting cancelled from jobs and things, although I got to say a couple of them were quite nice because I got cancelled and they paid me a cancellation fee, so I got money and didn't even have to do the job. So,
yeah, but
so who's the winner in the end?
Well, but it's weird because if I compared it to another situation, and I like Jamie Carragher, I grew up supporting Liverpool, and
I don't.
Oh, what? I met him on a play recently. He was quite nice to me, but because that was my childhood period. Jamie Carragher, Robbie Fowler, and Steven Gerrard.
Yeah,
he had his incident, and he was suspended and got his job back. And your incident is about content and words and opinions. His is what you would consider a violent act, whilst it's not physical. And he got his job back, and I can't square that circle and it's that chilling effect of silencing people. I think.
Yeah, it is indeed. I think I wasn't prepared to toe the company line And there was obviously at some point during that period of suspension, Jamie obviously apologised, and is in a very weak position in terms of negotiating new contracts and stuff, because he's very lucky to be in the job he's in. And so, he has to toe the company line no matter what. Simple as that.
And if you'd have towed the line, could you still be there?
I'd probably still be there if I wouldn't have spoken out against everything that was going on in 2020. Yeah.
It's such a weird chilling effect that has on people.
Yeah, but you know what? Life's too short for regrets. If the same thing happened again, I'd do exactly the same thing. I might change a couple of little tweets that I put out that were maybe misconstrued somewhat, which, by the way, I apologise for and deleted when I did get it wrong. And I think that's what we should all do as decent human beings, as you did. When eventually there was evidence to the contrary of what you were believing in, you were big enough to apologise, and I think that's the way we should be as adults.
Well, that's how you get to the point where you learn and you debate and you figure things out. Otherwise
we go backwards as a society, or we live under a dictatorship and a tyrannical government, and I'm not prepared to do that.
I think we already are.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree with that. I think there's just not enough of the population that understand that at the moment to make a difference.
The humble bee, a keystone species crucial to the survival of Earth's inhabitants. Here's how things would look if bees vanished. And here's how they'd look if humans vanished. But imagine if instead we became a keystone species by doing things the right way, by taking responsibility for our actions and becoming the solution. Iron mines the world's most responsible currency the right way. Because the future depends on it.
I find, you probably find this as well, but in certain circles, I've got certain social circles or family circles, they think I'm mental, man. They think I'm fucking crazy because of some of the things I talk about, and I'm there thinking, no, I think you're crazy. How do you not understand or see this? Like, I understood COVID at the time. I went to my doctor before I had the jab. He's like, yeah, it's fine. I saw him afterwards. He said, yeah, don't get any boosters. I was like, what? He said, yeah. What? He said, yeah, my opinion's changed on this. But
fair play to him.
I think there's so much evidence that's come out since that. One, they were ineffective. Two, lockdowns were ineffective.
Indeed.
Three, that they're now dangerous.
Caused more harm than they did good, absolutely.
But it's still not widely acceptable to discuss this.
No.
It's like, let's hide it.
No, it's like some people just want to pretend it never happened. And they've kind of forgotten all about that. And I'm still going, what? But I was right 4 years ago. Why did you just... Why didn't you listen to me? And if it happened again, they'd probably do the same thing and wouldn't listen again. But,
well,
each to their own.
The issue is you also probably have moved on to newer issues, which is the thing that people still don't believe. We've had to deal with rape gangs being pushed under the...
Yeah.
Although, big shout out to Rupert Lowe, because he announced today's inquiry.
I saw that. He's raised a lot of money already in the first few hours of that. So
yeah, we had, I don't know if you know Raja, but we had him in here last week. The guy from Oldham.
Miah.
Yeah. We had him in last week.
Social media, yeah.
He's a fascinating guy, a bit of a hero, actually.
Yeah, he sounds like it.
Yeah, so he was a guy who uncovered in Oldham, but he was exposing the fact that it wasn't just that it was happening, but the cover-ups. He was showing us the email, the cover-ups that included counsellors, and he pushes it all the way up to the front bench and believes that Angela Rayner is complicit in covering this up, which is quite a bold statement.
It is a bold statement. He's obviously got some serious evidence to back that up with. Otherwise, you wouldn't be making those kind of statements and not fearing for your life.
Yeah. And if there is a full inquiry under Rupert, this could damage very serious politicians, which I think he knows this.
Absolutely. And I think it's a good thing. I think these things need to be exposed. These people who have done these cover-ups need to be flushed out. It's such a shame that the way that our structures are set up in this country, it's such a shame that the people that end up ruling over us, if you like, are such absolute muppets. It really is. And I think the way that it is set up, basically, it's set up to encourage narcissists and psychopaths to the top of the pyramid, because most decent, rational human beings don't wish to control the lives of thousands and millions of other human beings. Most of us just want to, get on with life, have as little interference from government as possible, and just live a happy life while we're here. And unfortunately, the system is set up in a way that doesn't really encourage that.
I did an interview the other day where I'm quite active locally, where I'm in Bedford with the football team, and I've got a couple of businesses, and we've got a massive issue, almost an epidemic of shoplifting, crackheads, alcoholics. I don't know if it's similar where you live, but it's pretty bad.
There's a lot more homeless than there used to be down my way.
Yeah, it's got bad. So I opened this cafe a week ago for the it's like a club shop for the football team, and there's a bench at the window, and I sit there all day working, and I can see it. I can see all day long the addicts, where they come from, because I know where they live, and they come down the alley, and I literally followed two yesterday, going to the shops, stealing. Then I know where they go to buy their drugs, and it's a real problem. People aren't coming into the town. Sorry, I'm going somewhere with this. Anyway, somebody, I've threatened the police. I've said if they don't fix it, we will. And somebody wanted to interview me, and they said to me, "Do you have any political ambitions?" And it was a really interesting question, because I was like,
"Wow,
I think the problem with politics is ambition."
Yes, absolutely.
Because if you have ambition, where are you going to compromise yourself or other people for that ambition?
Absolutely. I think one of the things that kind of really shook me to the core was when I saw Keir Starmer being interviewed, and he was asked, who do you prefer, Davos or Westminster? And he sat in the interview and chose Davos over Westminster. And I thought, wow, you have just openly played your cards to everyone. You don't really have any care for the people in this country, which I think he's proven since he's been in charge. His loyalties lie elsewhere, and that's not how it should be in politics.
Well, I think that's been a consistent problem for the Labour Party, in that they don't really represent the working class they used to. And I would say,
absolutely
I would
not.
Admire that if they did. I've not been a Labour voter, but I'd admire that.
Yeah, no, I think at the core of its principles, as it used to be, then there doesn't seem to be anything wrong with that at all. But I'll sit here and criticise Labour, but I'll also sit here and criticise the Tory government that were in charge before that, because they also made a hell of a lot of mistakes. And put the country in a far worse position than what it was in before they took over. And I believe Labour are doing the same. And I do wonder whether it's being done deliberately, because you can't really be that stupid.
I don't know. I think you can be.
Can you?
I think you can be that stupid. I think because I looked into it, because the recent policies changes are very hard for business. It's very hard to build a business. Even this cafe, we've got some money to put behind it, and we've done a good job. But I'm looking at the numbers coming in, and the cost of running it, and then the business rates and the holiday pay and all this. And I'm like, this is going to be very hard to make a profit.
Yeah.
And then you look at the Labour front bench. There's not a single person who's run a business on that front bench. They've never run a business. They've never sat on a train like I did today, thinking about, well, how do we make this work next week, and how do you make payroll? They've never done it. If they did, they would understand. But they are trade unionists, charity workers, and lawyers, and probably the right jobs to get into politics, but not the right jobs to run an economy.
No, there doesn't seem to be a lot of idea about how to grow the economy at the moment. Things are incredibly hard, incredibly tough, and we're seeing businesses shut down. Thousands of businesses every week shut down in the country, and you do wonder how much more the country can take of this incompetence.
But I think some is malicious. I think the transfer of wealth is malicious
Mm-hmm.
because all of this is a transfer of wealth
Absolutely.
to foreign entities. Did I just see that? Can you look this up, Kurt? That they're going to remove the tax they put in place for Amazon, Facebook, the large multinationals. But I don't know if you know the way they're set up, but they'll have an office here, but then they'll have an office in a tax-free place, and to skip the tax, they'll give them a license, so they could just siphon the tax, the money out, and so they put in a tax on them. It was like a 2% tax to stop them avoiding it. I think that the Labour Party just announced they're getting rid of it.
The problem is it's India Times, from what I can see, is
Yeah.
the source.
But UK planning to end the tax at Google, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, and other American companies likely hate. And I think this is to do with the tariffs. But the point being is that in the same week where they're cutting benefits to people who need it the most, they're handing a massive tax break to multinational companies.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you say, is it malicious, I look at that and think,
It is.
if your favourite place is Davos.
I think it's definitely malicious. I don't think you can be that incompetent. I think it's too carefully crafted a plan for it not to be malicious, in my opinion.
And going back to what somebody said to me, I wouldn't say ambition, but have you thought of entering into politics?
Not really, no.
No.
I don't particularly trust the system that's in place at the moment. I think it's corrupt as hell. I think if we were to change things, maybe to the Swiss model of direct democracy, then I think I could then be a little bit more interested.
Talk to me about that, because I've not looked into the Swiss model.
So the Swiss have quarterly referendums on big issues in the country,
Okay.
which I feel would be a much fairer way of doing things in this country, because what we get in this country is we get two political parties who promise you the world when the election is coming up, and as soon as they get elected, abandon everything that was in their manifesto, and they basically lied through their teeth to get into. Whereas I feel like the biggest issues in this country should be decided upon by the majority of the people, not just the 650 idiots in Parliament.
That lying, it's so obvious with Labour, it's very obvious with Conservatives as well, but that lying, that barefaced lying and coming in and changing the policy, what is weird is that people still accept it. I don't know why. That is
really odd.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you why people accept it.
Go on.
Because the media don't call them out on it.
Well, because they're shit.
Exactly right. But there's a huge chunk of people who will watch the BBC News, who will read the newspapers, who will believe every single word that comes out of their mouths. And I'm sorry, but if you're still one of those people, you've learnt nothing from the last 5 years. You really need to go and see someone, because it is so obvious what is going on that if you can't see it now, you will never, ever see it.
Yeah, you're not a fan of the BBC, are you?
Well, not just them. You can add Sky, ITV, Channel 4 and all that lot.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm not just picking on the BBC, but the others don't obviously force you to pay money to fund them.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you some money and I'm going to let you propagandise me for the next year. No, thanks. I don't do that.
Well, they wouldn't do interviews like this.
No. Nobody with an alternative opinion gets aired on the BBC. You just don't have. I happened a couple of times in the last couple of years. I've happened across flicking through the channels late at night. Happened across Question Time.
Yeah,
a couple of times, and I can last about 10 minutes because it's so obvious the questions that are coming out and the plants that are put in the audience. It's just like, wow, what's the point?
Well, they have had Konstantin Kisin on a few times. I don't know if you know Konstantin.
I don't know him personally, but I've followed him on social media.
Yeah, and he's been all right, actually. He's pushed back a bit.
You're allowed to push back on certain things. There are some things you're not allowed to push back on.
Well, I haven't watched last night's, but had that Gary Economics guy on, who I'm sure is a plant from the Labour Party. This Gary, is it Stevenson? Yeah, have you been following him?
I'm not following him, no.
So he's been pushing the idea of the wealth tax. He's saying, we're so in debt and public services are breaking. We should introduce a wealth tax, a 2% wealth tax on anyone who's got more than 10 million of assets, and that will raise 24 billion. That's much needed for public services. and he gets very emotional. He says he's the greatest trader. He's the highest performing trader that Citibank ever had. If you dig a little bit, that's bollocks. It is bollocks. He wasn't. His ex-colleague says he wasn't. But his idea is underfunded, and it doesn't understand that if you introduce a wealth tax, everywhere they've tried it has failed. But he was on Question Time last night, shouting about the wealth tax, and I'm sat there going, "Hold on a second. That's very good for it's very good for the Labour Party."
Mm. Who was it that said if you don't learn from history, you're bound to repeat it? And that it appears to be what's happening all around the world. And that's the other thing that's kind of really odd, is that the way that governments are or had been acting in sync with each other on so many policies. It was just like this. The whole world had gone mad all at the same time with the same policies. And it's like, this is a bit suspicious. And when have every government around the world all of a sudden gone, oh yeah, that's a good idea, we're all going to do that, like with the COVID stuff? And it was just like, no, something not right here. And I smelled a rat very early on.
And it led to Davos and Charles Schwab.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of roads lead to those nefarious characters at Davos, and the sooner some of them depart this world, the better.
I was listening to a Rogan episode last night with the lady who wrote the book Illusions about vaccinations.
Yes,
and that's become particularly scary because, I mean, I had vaccinations to go to Africa recently, which I took just fully believing they were fine, but I try. You probably know more about this than me. I try to go down the autism rabbit hole to try and find the evidence, because there's a lot of talk of linking vaccinations to autism, and in this episode, they're talking very clearly that there's direct evidential proof, and that itself is quite scary because we're pretty much vaccinated every baby that's born in the UK at the moment, but if we don't, we do tend to have these like measles outbreaks, and do you know what I find really annoying, Matt? It shouldn't be that hard to find the truth. Everybody should want. And
that's what makes me suspicious. Yeah, because if you read Robert Kennedy's book on Anthony Fauci,
yes,
there's some very interesting stuff that he puts out in that book, and I haven't seen Anthony Fauci coming out and denying any of it, or if what half of what he wrote wasn't true, Anthony Fauci would be suing the backside of it.
Of course he would.
Has he?
Well, he seems to have disappeared.
Yeah, interesting. So permanently.
Yeah, it's a scary time. I mean, it's good though.
I mean, the interesting thing for me with that stuff from Robert Kennedy was the evidence that he came out with that vaccines hadn't actually been tested properly. Not tested against placebos, they were tested against other vaccines, which doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
No,
but makes it easy to obfuscate the results and hide any adverse reactions and things. So it's all very, very, and as you say, if it's not easy to get to the truth, why isn't it easy? So that when I find it difficult to find the evidence, that makes me go, right, something fishy about this, because you're not being open and honest and transparent about it all. So if you're not going to be open and honest, my reaction is to go, I'm skeptical of that.
But it should be easy. It
should be.
My view is like, I don't know, maybe it's naive, Matt, but it's directionally, we should all want the same thing. If these vaccinations are good for kids, if they prevent measles, mumps, rubella, the various things, and we know, that's great. If there is a known marginal risk of autism, say it's 0.0, parents should know and have the choice. But it seems like for every topic that we deal with, there's two schools of thought. And one school of thought is, this is the science and it's settled. And the other school of thought is a group of people like, I don't fucking trust this.
Well, it's also the fact that science is never settled.
Well, that's
science
true.
is never changing feast. There's evidence will continue to come around all the time that will change science as we go, and that's how we evolve as a race. So all those people that come out and go, no, the science is settled. No, it never is, and evidence will come out in future years, and you go, oh, blimey, look, let's look back then. Oh no, we got that one wrong. We got to evolve, and that's how we do things. So, when somebody says to me, "Oh, the science is settled on it," I immediately go, "Whoa, no."
Very important that you don't lose this, okay? This is your inheritance through Bitcoin.
Let Bitcoin rip. Don't rip up your Bitcoin. Set up inheritance with Casa.
But you would have thought these two groups of people could get together and go, okay, what do we know? What's the evidence? But then whenever there's a whistleblower on the side that's skeptical, there always seems to be a company or corporation or a reason that we haven't been given all the information. I'm finding the same on climate change stuff because, I'm pretty certain climate change is happening. I'm pretty certain.
Climate change has always happened.
I know that as well, but I'm pretty sure there's impacts by humans. I'm pretty sure the stuff we're doing that's impacting it because there's certain scientific data that I've seen when I've gone down the rabbit hole. There seems to be a sudden change during the industrial era. There is. But at the same time, it comes alongside this crazy net zero shit that Ed Miliband is pushing.
Yeah.
We have
going to make us all poorer and all the rich people richer.
Well, you should see the energy bills for all my businesses. They're insane. They are the difference between success and failure for some businesses.
Absolutely.
And they're the difference between eating and not eating for some families.
Absolutely, 100%.
But again, why is it so hard to get to the truth?
Because they're lying is my take on it. When it's so difficult to get to the truth, they're hiding something. And again, it's all about power, money. That's kind of what it boils down to. So, the whole climate change thing, I've been very skeptical of it because it's the same people pushing it that were pushing the COVID stuff. We've seen, I don't know if you saw the Project Veritas stuff, we know as kind of COVID was kind of dying off a little bit in the news cycles. There was a CNN reporter who, admitted to James O'Keefe that, the next big thing is going to be climate change, and that's the next thing we're going to be pushing. Now, it's like, you just admitted that they are going to be propagandizing the climate change thing, and yet nobody bats an eyelid and just go, oh, yeah, it must be real. I'm sorry, but I don't buy into that bullshit.
Well, I didn't see the Project Veritas.
Did you not?
No, I didn't.
Weirdly,
he just followed me on Twitter, and I was like, shit, is he going to trap me? What have I done?
Go and have a look at it. It's a CNN reporter. I'm sure it was a CNN reporter that he had admitting that the climate change will be the next big thing on their news cycle that they will shove down everyone's throat 24/7 as they did with COVID.
Well, they're doing it right now.
Yeah. This was like 2 years ago.
Right.
I don't know if...
Can you find it? It's only 50 seconds. Let's stick it up.
I mean, it was I think, at least 2 years.
CNN.
Yeah.
We're going to start focusing mainly on climate, climate, like global warming, and like that's going to be our next, like, I don't know, like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to be our focus. Like our focus was to get Trump out of office, right? Without it saying it, that's what it was, right? So our next thing is going to be for climate.
I mean, this is a news channel admitting this stuff.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
And he's the technical director.
Like, constantly showing videos of like decline in ice and weather warming up and like the effects it's having on the economy and really talking about head of the network. We're going to start focusing mainly
and now that's what we're seeing all the time.
Absolutely.
Ed Miliband.
100%. And that's why I'm so skeptical of it all, because it's just it's like we're living in some kind of weird movie. It's just mad that they tell you what they're going to do before it's even happened. Now, one thing that made me skeptical of it all was when we were getting, well, firstly, I'm old enough to remember in the 70s when they told us that the new ice age was coming.
Uh-huh.
Everyone memory holds that. Forget about that one, because Al Gore's told us the world is warming up now, and now we've got global warming. Now, as soon as the global warming temperatures stopped showing an increase in them going up, they changed global warming to climate change, because it's a catch-all. It doesn't matter what happens now. Everything can be attributed to climate change. You know, whether it's too cold or too warm, everything can be climate change. Whereas global warming, you could only go one way, you see. And when that stopped working, they had to change it. And they rebranded it as climate change. Very clever what they do. It's very clever.
I wonder, see, when it comes to that, I'm then thinking, well, where's the coordination and where's the benefit? I mean, perhaps your Davos elite, but where's the benefit? And I just know my suspicion is they get more control, higher taxes.
The benefit is more wealth transfer.
Yeah.
But also they have to have something in the news cycle that keeps you in fear so that you are easier to control.
You sound like a conspiracy theorist, Matt.
Well, I think if you speak to any psychologist who's ever done any kind of degree in psychology, they will tell you the people that are easiest to control are the ones that are scared of you, are scared of something, because it puts you in fight or flight mode. Yeah. It's not rocket science.
This wealth transfer, though, I mean, it's been going on, I think, pretty severely since, I think they figured it out.
It's probably been going on for centuries, let's be honest.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's always, but I think as governments, I think they really figured out after the global financial crisis, it's very easy to move money from the poor to the rich. I think it became, we haven't run a surplus since. It's a constant deficit, and they can borrow infinite amounts of money, increase the debt.
That's what gets me, is that they could just print money when they like.
Endlessly.
So why are we all working?
Well, I keep all my money in Bitcoin.
That's another conversation. I don't know a lot about that.
You don't know? Oh.
No, I don't know a huge amount about that.
I'll tell you a little bit.
Can you tell me a little bit?
Well, you might not know. So the background to this podcast, we've done 62 episodes of this? But the previous 860, it was a show about Bitcoin. That's all we did.
Right.
It was the biggest show in the world about Bitcoin. We used to travel around the world. We went out to El Salvador, interviewed the president. And, RFK, we interviewed Vivek Ramaswamy, everyone. And it was just, I got fed up with the travel, and the football team was taken off that. I was like, we'll move it to the UK and we'll just go a bit more general. The football team actually, so our investors are...
What's the step are you at?
We're top of step 8. Top of step 6. So I bought them when they were in step 6. Sorry, I bought them step 6, 10th tier. We won the league the first 2 seasons, and we're top of the league this year. So if we win this year, we've got to win 3 of our last 6.
Yep.
We were going into step 3. And our women's side, we took them over in tier 5. They won the treble last year, and if they beat Sudbury on Sunday, they'll get promoted back to back, and they'll go into the 3rd tier. It's really good. Our manager's a guy called Rob Sinclair. He played for Forest Green Stevenage, very good manager. And we just had this strategy, which was we think every promotion is about 60-70% your player budget, 20-30% your manager, and 10% luck. And we made us the Bitcoin team. And so all the Bitcoin companies sponsored us.
Did you pay the players in Bitcoin?
Not everyone, but some do.
Do they?
Yeah, some do. And coaching staff. We've paid one ref in Bitcoin. But what
you're paying off refs? Oh, that's a big story.
We have to pay the refs.
Oh yeah.
So we but all the Bitcoin companies sponsored us. So we got a 5-year shirt deal, £500,000 over 100,000 a year for 5 years. And that's front shirt. And then we've got backer shirt and sleeves. But all the Bitcoiners around the world buy our merch. So we've sold probably 3,000 shirts from the bottom of non-league football.
Wow.
Yeah. And Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss, who were in, have you seen the film Social Network?
No.
These guys, they're the guys who invented Facebook, and Zuckerberg stole it off them.
Oh, okay.
So they've just invested in our football club.
Oh, wow.
3.6 million. Because I said to them, look, the goal is to take a team from the bottom to the Football League. Bedford's the biggest town that's never had a team in the Football League.
Is it really?
Yeah. We're 110,000 metropolitan area,
okay,
but 180,000 population. And I wanted to get into the Football League in 10 years. They said, "How'd you get the Premier League?" I was like, "Well, hold on,
Whoa.
we've got 40 fans." But anyway, so we'll have done 3 promotions in 3 years and 3 more in 7. We want to do.
Wow.
But yeah, so we made us the Bitcoin Club. So we accept Bitcoin, people pay in Bitcoin, and we took our investment in Bitcoin. And really, the thesis is simple, Matt. It is governments can print as much money as they want, and they can confiscate money from your bank account when they want, and they can close your bank accounts down when they want. They have complete control of the money and financial system. Well, Bitcoin is about a system that they have zero control over. So it's decentralized. So I'll send you some Bitcoin so you can play around with it. But
Okay.
And so the way it does that is decentralized. So every single person who runs the Bitcoin network has a full copy of every transaction ever done. And so if they try and close you down, it doesn't matter because I've got a copy, Kurt's got a copy, everyone else. And they all, every 10 minutes, they all get the new transactions and it builds. And so that's the way it works. It decentralizes. So they can't close the network down. That stops the network being closed down. Then as an individual, your wallet has a set of keywords, 24 words, and that protects your wallet. And so they can't steal it because they can't go in and take it. And the last thing is where they print all the money, you get the inflation. Bitcoin is limited to 21 million Bitcoin ever. It cannot be increased. It's a hard cap. So every time they increase the money supply, your Bitcoin goes up in value. So if you like price a house, I mean, I think my parents' first house when I was 40 odd years ago was $2,000.
Yeah.
That same house now would be 400,000.
Yeah.
If you price houses in Bitcoin, they're coming down.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because the money's going,
Yeah,
and so that's all Bitcoin. I mean, you'd love it. It is a way of getting away from, it's separating money and state.
I like that idea.
I think once you go down that rabbit hole,
Yeah.
you will go in, and that's what got me into. That was what kind of half of what red pilled me. It was that, and then the COVID era, and now I just don't trust anything.
Yeah.
I don't trust what they tell us about diet, science, or anything.
Yeah.
Hey, can you find anything that's priced in Bitcoin to show that? Yeah. So 2016, a house 288,000. 2020, 328,000.
Oh, I see what you do.
And then in Bitcoin, it comes down.
I got you. Yeah.
And so this great thing about Bitcoin is you don't really want to spend it. So you only spend it when you have to, because you know it's going to go up in value. And so it's like this long-term hedge against inflation.
That's a 99% discount in 8 years or something.
In price in Bitcoin, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you follow non-league football much then?
Well, I'm a director at Sholing Football Club who play in the Southern Prem.
Southern Prem.
So one below the Conference South.
Okay, yeah. So step 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that we'll be one below that next year if we win. It's hard, non-league.
It is.
It's fucking hard.
Like the amount of people that change clubs mid-season is incredible.
We've been pretty good. Have
you been steady, have you?
Yeah, we've lost one player to a 7-day in 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, one player, and he only moved because he was traveling an hour and a half to training, and he got 5 minutes away.
Yeah.
Actually, we're playing his team tomorrow.
Okay.
But I love non-league football. But I still want to.
No, I've enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean, the team that I'm involved in, Sholing, they're only like a couple of miles from St Mary's.
Right.
So the fixtures, I think they kind of try and make sure that they don't play on the same day too often. So one week I'll go to St Mary's, next week I'll go and watch Sholing. I think they've only clashed like 2 or 3 times this season.
They don't try and tempt you out to play again.
Not at 56 years of age, no.
Where are they in the league?
Mid-table this season, which is kind of whereabout they were expecting to be.
Could they get to the National League?
I think there's ambitions there to try and go up. They've had some investment. They're putting a 4G pitch in this summer.
Yeah.
Which actually Levi Colwell is heavily involved. So he's a Sholing boy,
right? Okay,
and he's invested some money in the club and helped out with the 4G pitch quite a lot. So yeah, I think there's definitely ambitions to try and go up.
So on this podcast, you are definitely hearing me talk about Bitcoin a lot. Well, why? We live in a really strange time with governments driving inflation with their reckless spending and endless money printing. There is a way out of this. There is a way to protect your money, and that is by stacking Bitcoin. I've made loads of shows about Bitcoin. You can go and research this. You can go and read the books. But the truth is, it is the hardest money ever created. If you are interested in protecting your financial future, it's time for you to get on the Bitcoin train. I've been stacking Bitcoin personally and through my businesses since 2017. It's protected me, it's secured my family's future, and it also strengthens all of my businesses. So if you want to start stacking Bitcoin, where do you do it? Well, for me, it's with Gemini. They're a fully licensed, full reserve exchange and custodian, so they give you a secure way for you to buy and own your Bitcoin. There's no risks and no funny business. So if you're serious about stacking Bitcoin the right way, head over to Gemini.com, which is GEMINI.com. They make a big difference. So we're in a proposed merger with Bedford Town, which is the big local club. So they already step 3.
Yeah.
Us going into the same division next year, that becomes challenging for the two clubs because we're the two closest clubs in the country. And so I put an idea to them about merging them, which is obviously not popular with everyone, but is the right idea. Yeah. They put in a 4G last year, and it's brilliant because we have, the amount of
revenue stream.
Well, it's a revenue stream, but you don't lose games.
And you don't, absolutely.
Our biggest game of the season was against Berkhamsted. That would have been a Saturday game. We lost it to rain because of waterlogged pitch. We'd get a crowd 600-700 at that. It got moved to a Tuesday and we got 300. It costs you thousands and thousands of pounds. And it's a lot of money in non-league.
Absolutely.
It's really, really hard. But I love the non-league stuff. But our goal is, we want to get up to the Football League. We want a team up there. Do you miss football?
Not now. I still play a few charity games for our ex-Southampton players team. So they're always good fun. But the body doesn't like it too much trying to play 80 or 90 minutes of football now. It takes a few days to recover after that. But no, I missed playing for about 2 or 3 years after I finished. And then it was kind of, okay, that's gone.
You'll probably tell me there were chances, but I never understood why you never ended up at one of the big clubs.
I chose to stay at Southampton. I had offers to move. Spurs tried to buy me, Chelsea tried to buy me, Liverpool. But I was happy where I was.
That wouldn't happen now, I don't think.
No,
not at all.
And to be honest, the differentials in wages that we were talking about back in the 90s compared to what it is now. Even my loyalty might be tested a little bit with the numbers that are being thrown around in this day and age. The difference could be like, so when Chelsea tried to buy me, I think I was on about, 1,700 quid a week or something, $2,000 a week, somewhere around that figure. And if I'd have gone to Chelsea, I'd have probably been on about, 10 or 12 grand a week. So it's a big jump, a big jump. But fast forward 25 years, if I'm at Southampton now on 40 grand a week, and somebody comes in and wants to give me 300 grand a week, even I'd have to go, hang on a minute. That's quite a big difference. Yeah. But I was never in football for the money. That was never my motivation to be a footballer. I loved entertaining people. I just wanted to go out and show off what I could do on a football pitch.
Oh, you show? Come on, those goals.
There were a few nice ones in there. Yeah. I don't know. I think probably the thing that gives me the most pleasure in my life is even when I was walking here earlier on today, I was walking through London, just around the corner from here.
Yeah.
And a guy just stopped me and he went, Matt Tissier. He said, you scored some of the best goals I've ever seen live in my life. And to me, that was like, brilliant. I did my job properly.
That video, the one I showed my son is insane. There must have been 30 odd goals in this video. I'm trying to remember. I think, isn't there one where you chest it and volley it?
Take up my thigh and volley it.
Yeah.
Against Newcastle, yeah. And there was a few nice ones.
And one penalty miss.
One penalty miss in 48, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark Crossley. So I didn't miss the penalty. I had it saved.
Yeah, it's saved.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
If you miss a penalty, you put it wide of the goal.
Do you?
At least it was on target.
Did you like playing for England?
I loved playing for England. That was my ambition as a kid, was to play for England. That was the two things I wanted to do when I was growing up: be a professional footballer, play for England, and I did both those by the time I was 25. So that was pretty cool.
Do you like the modern game?
I find it a little bit boring at times.
Yeah.
At the moment, I find it a little bit predictable.
Okay.
you just the whole possession-based football. I get the ethos behind it, and I get the reasons why the managers want that. Because it ups the odds of them winning football matches if they have lots of possession. But for me, football is and always should be an entertainment industry. It's become a business. And I don't know, I watch football matches now and I find myself switching off a little bit and looking for something else to do while I'm watching football. And I never used to do that. If I was watching a football match, I'm engrossed, and now I can be sat on the sofa and it was just like halfway through a game and I'll be thinking, isn't there a golf tournament on the other channel?
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's why I think I'd like some of the lower league and the non-league stuff.
That's
more jeopardy.
I've really enjoyed going to watch Olin play this season. I really have. It's a more, I know it's just a bit more raw, and there's a bit more action. The ball gets to each other's penalty boxes a little bit quicker.
Yeah,
I always feel like when I watch, and I don't know if you kind of always look back with rose-tinted spectacles, but I've spoken to a few people about this, and most people have agreed with me. But there seemed to be a lot more action in in both the 18-yard boxes in the 90s than what there is in this day and age. We see a lot of football played outside of the 18-yard boxes. And I understand why. The game moves on, and the players are a lot fitter and they're more organised, and it's more difficult to break them down. But I don't know. I don't feel like I get as excited as I used to watching football now.
It's that precision play to try and find it's almost like they're pressuring the defence back. Whereas, I'm a little bit younger than you, but not much. I remember at the start of the Premier League, it was getting the ball in the box, and there were characters.
There were
a lot of characters,
and we had fun. I don't know. I don't see a lot of players look like they're having fun when they're playing football anymore, and I loved it. I was blessed to have basically got paid for what was my hobby growing up as a kid.
I get it. I tell myself, I keep mentioning, it's such a shame he's not here, because I tell him about the characters of the era. Like Merce was a big character. Neil Ruddock was a big character. Tony Adams, and there's all these Mark Hughes, all these big characters.
Vinnie Jones, all those guys. Yeah,
and I don't think
Cantona.
Oh God, what a player! But we don't really have. They don't seem to become characters until they quit football.
Yeah,
and then you get a little bit.
They're too scared to have any character now.
Do you think the club suck it out of them?
I don't know. I think they're just a little bit scared to actually be a little bit different. And I think that's part of the world that we live in at the moment. I think there's a lack of bravery from people to actually go and be themselves. They just want to conform to what everyone else is doing. That don't work.
Think we can fix it?
Give it my best go.
Well, I hope we can. I feel like there's a momentum change at the moment. I know a lot of people are fed up.
Yeah, I get the same feeling.
Yeah.
I've been quite what's the word I'm looking for? Encouraged by what I've seen the last 2 or 3 years. Like, so, if you were only to read what was in the newspapers and what was said on the television about me, for example, you would probably think I'm a bit crazy, a bit nutty, and gone a bit crazy after football. He's edited too many footballs, all that nonsense. I got to tell you, when I'm out in public, I went to Cheltenham for 2 days last week with my brother, and we go in the cheap seats.
Did you win?
No, not even close. But the reaction from people in my day-to-day life has been amazing. The amount of people that come up and shake my hand and go, Matt, thank you so much for speaking out like you have done the last few years, because we all think the same as you, and nobody's brave enough to say it. So thank you very much. And I have so many people come up to me and say that to my face. And yet, in all that time, I think I've only had one person in public who's ever had the balls to come up to my face and go, "You're an anti-vaxxer."
I mean, that's fine if there's one. We're not all going to be the same.
By the way, he was about 10 yards away in a crowd at Cheltenham, and he wasn't that brave.
I heard Tommy Robinson talk about the same thing. And I had this perception of Tommy Robinson from everything I've read in the press, and I don't know what's true and what isn't. But what I do know is he's certainly a working class hero, and he's somebody talking about issues that are affecting the working class that certainly politicians and the media aren't.
No.
And he talked about the fact that people come. Actually, I saw a video once where people just going up and shaking his hand, saying thank you for speaking up. Interesting about Tommy is you're actually now seeing not just working class, middle class, upper class people speaking up in defense of him and talking about what's happened to him. And I think it's this. I don't think English people were designed to be constrained like this.
No, I don't think humans were designed to be constrained like that.
True.
Not just English people. I think we are designed to, be free, to have freedom, to have free will and to go about our lives with the minimum of interference from the government. Governments around the world just keep getting bigger and bigger and want to take more and more of your money. And at some point, surely most people would go, hang on a minute, enough's enough now. Right, you've had enough money. You've mismanaged all the money that we've given you for a start. Look at the national debt. Completely incompetently managed the finances of the country, and yet they still blame it on all the poor people and when they try to raise more money, what's the first thing they go to? Where they cut disability benefits, they cut the pensioners, they'll raise the taxes on the poor people, and then they'll give tax breaks to Amazon.
And then they'll print a bunch more, which will make everything expensive and affect the poorest even worse.
I'm going to go and buy some Bitcoin now.
Yeah, well, look, I'm going to send you a bit. When we're done here in a few minutes, I'm going to send you a little bit. So if you've never had it,
I've never had any Bitcoin.
Because it's, just do it now. Hold on, you got your phone. Yeah. It's mad. Can you grab my phone quick? Which app do you recommend, Kurt?
I've got
not like Coinbase.
I've got a bit of
you've not got a shit coin, have you?
I've got XRP.
Oh, that's a shit coin.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
I'll give me some proper ones then.
If it's not Bitcoin, it's a
This
shit
be my
coin.
fee for coming and speak to you today. I'm on Uphold, is it?
Yeah, we don't want to use that. So we want you to get. So is Wallet Satoshi still available in the App Store? I think this would be a first. Send him Matt Tissier Bitcoin live on a podcast. Never thought I'd do this. Moon, yeah. If you go to the App Store and search for Moon, but MUUN.
MUUN.
Yeah, MUUN.
Okay. Moon Wallet.
Yeah. If you download that, right. And as soon as you get that, I'll show you. It's because this is mad. Because if it's PayPal and I send you money on PayPal or the bank, it's just a central database that will deduct from me and add into yours. But they control it. They can steal it.
Right, now I've got to remember what my password is. Okay, we might have to do this after.
We'll do it. We can do it after. I'll show you, Kurt. Have you got a wallet? I just want to show you how mad it is and why I love it.
Yeah, I can't remember my
so
password.
If he clicks receive, that's Kurt. All I do is scan it. All right, I'll send you 1,000 sats, Kurt. Click send. Done. He's received it instantly. There's no central authority that controls the Bitcoin.
Wow, so it doesn't go through somewhere to get to that.
No. And the government can't stop this. And this is why it's so powerful. We were out in, was it Lebanon? So we were out in Lebanon. When was that? 2 years ago? Yeah, we were out in Lebanon a year and a half ago to make a film. And we were in this restaurant with this lady who runs a charity. And Lebanon's got it's got really poor energy supply because the energy company was stolen by somebody and he stole all the money and killed the industry. So they had no lights in central Lebanon. And that presents danger and issue. There's no traffic lights. So it's mad. You come in a car, you come up to a junction, everyone's just figuring it out. And they had a goal to put the lights back on in Lebanon. And so they'll do it street by street. And what they would do is they'll raise the money, they'll get a generator, or they'll hook it up to a hotel with a generator, relight the streets and made it safer for women and businesses reopened. And we were sat in that restaurant and we put out the address, didn't we? And I tweeted it out. What did we get? $3,000-$4,000? Just came in. People kept sending money over and over and over again from all around the world. It's a real movement of people. It's a real people's movement to take control and money away from government. I swear, you go down this Bitcoin rabbit hole, I think it's going to appeal to you, especially with everything you've told me today and everything you think about.
Cool. Okay.
We'll send you on it. Look,
I
Matt,
will
this
do.
has been honestly an absolute pleasure. I watched you as a kid. I'm 46, so I watched
Oh,
the
you're
stuff.
way younger than me.
I did, but that meant I was
I've got a decade on you.
But that meant I was a 10, 11, 12-year-old
Oh,
when you
yeah.
were coming through.
Fair enough.
And I was a Liverpool fan, but I've seen a lot of your goals, and and all credit to you for standing up for these things, because they're big issues, and wish there were more people with a public profile who would stand up, and I'm sure
Would be
there are
nice.
people, and they say to you quietly they agree with you, and they
Absolutely,
won't
there
come
is, yeah.
publicly. But we need more, because I'm worried about the terminal decline of this country,
Absolutely, me too.
and I want to fix it. And then hopefully, maybe one day, our football team
Our
will play
football teams will
Yeah.
play against each other.
Yeah,
That'd be
we'll
fun.
get a game, and maybe
We
we'll
could
see.
meet in the boardroom.
We wouldn't get. The problem is, when we go up if we win step 3, even though we're Bedford, they would be in the northern.
Oh, would you?
Yeah, there's teams south of us in the northern. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Which is a much harder route to the National League. But look,
Yeah.
maybe we'll get a friendly one day.
That'd be
Matt,
great.
Thank you so much. Appreciate
Pleasure,
you,
mate.
Thank you everyone for listening.